Hi, I'm Cindy Seitz-Krug and I'm at Quilt Week, and I'm going to do a little demo today on how I mark grids on my quilts, because I do a lot of grid-based quilting designs. In fact, I have a book called the Grid Design Workbook, but people ask me, how do you mark those grids? So I have a really neat stencil that I'm going to demonstrate a variety of different grids that we can mark with one stencil. So I've got my little sample here, and I've already marked some blocks, 6-inch blocks at whatever the space is on your quilt. But I'm going to first of all show you a horizontal vertical grid. That's the simplest of all grids. First of all, I'm going to use a Sharpie so that you can see it on camera, but normally we would be using this blue wash away marker or some other marking tool of your choice, but I want you to be able to see this. So we're going to start out with a horizontal vertical grid. So this grid stencil is a 1/2-inch grid or 1-inch grid if you skip every other line. So the first one is super simple. You just line up one of the lines on the stencil with a straight line on your quilt, and we start drawing these lines. So the other option to do this would obviously be using a ruler. But ruler takes a long time. You know, you would have to move it and realign it every time. So just like that, we've got our horizontal lines. So then when I turn this, line up a straight line on the grid stencil, and we mark every other line. And this is very accurate, things don't move, and voila, you have a simple 1-inch horizontal vertical line. So what if we want to do a diagonal grid? This stencil has 45-degree lines. So we would just line up a 45 with maybe any straight line on our quilt. I'm going to use the edge of this fabric. And again, I'm going to go every other line so that we can get through it quickly, but you could do a 1/2-inch grid or 1-inch. So we're going to do 1-inch every other line. Now, at some point we get to this spot in the stencil, they have to have some structure there. So it ends, I'm going to move that in a minute and show you how easy that is. And just continue, oops, I went outside the line. And then I'm going to budge that down a little bit so we can finish out that line. And again, I'm going to move that up because I missed one line there, and that's that. So now we have that set of diagonal lines. I'm just going to move this over here, and again, put that 45-degree line on the stencil on a straight line in our quilt. Move that over there so everybody can see, and start, oops, let me make sure we got the 45, yep. So start marking I want to make sure I don't miss one. But this is so fast, and what I love about it is all of the intersections. So when I say intersections, on grid-based designs, you want those lines to meet, because when you cross that line, that's what you're aiming for, is the intersections. So there's our diagonal grid. Now, another really cool thing is this also has 30 and 60-degree lines for diamond grids. So I'll mark one really quickly down here. We're just going to line up our 30-degree line. So 30 degrees would be a tall, narrow diamond, and the 60 would be the flatter diamonds. Line up that 30-degree line on the edge, and again, I'll do the 1-inch every other line. Okay, so we've got those lines. Let's look at, do the other set. Again, lining up a 30-degree, I'm going to do it over this way, and start here, every other line, and do that. So here's our diamond grid, but we can do one more, and I'm not going to fill that space. I'm just going to split our diamond grid up into an isometric triangle grid. So you just turn your stencil here, and you divide those diamonds right at the intersection point, the tip of the diamond. Let me move this over a little. And voila, isometric triangle grid. So These grids are, if you just stitch them out by themselves, they're beautiful. But what my book is all about, and what I love, are grid-based designs. So if you mark those with your blue wash away marker, then you can go in and add different designs, and then the blue marks wash away, and you're left with this beautiful symmetrical design that people say, wow, how did you do that? So this is an apple core design, one of the most simple grid-based designs you can come up with, super easy. And then this little sample has the apple core. This is the plover. Here is a couple of clamshell varieties, and this is the checkerboard design. So all grid-based designs, really beautiful. All right, here's a few more. This is our cathedral window design, grid-based design. Here's that checkerboard again, and here's our basket weave. So, and then a few more. Here's that apple core design, but I've done double stitching on it, so it's enhanced. It's kind of the apple core 2.0. It's really beautiful. And then this is ginkgo clamshells. So those are just a few of the grid-based quilting designs you can create with that base grid marked on your quilt. So this is a quilt I made. It's called Alternative Grids. It's a modern quilt, my first attempt at a modern quilt, but I wanted to display a bunch of the grid-based quilting designs that I had covered on my YouTube channel. So in each one of these little interior portions of the orange peel applique, I did different grid designs. So if you look around, there are different grid designs in each one of them. Right here is that apple core again, and here we have our simple clamshells. Here's the basket weave. Here's a Greek key kind of design done on that isometric triangle grid. So here's another clamshell variation. There's just all kinds of grid-based quilting designs in here. So grids are, I won't say they're infinite, but there are many that we can accomplish, and they all start with a simple marked grid on your quilt.